What is up, guys? Welcome back to OverTakes. This is Misfit, and today we're going to be talking about Week 7 in the Overwatch League, the second week of June Joust Qualifiers, and we have a little bit of news first, and then player movement, and then we're going to dive into our 3 matches for the week that we're going to talk about, and then, of course, the rundown at the end of the show. But first, before we dive into this week's section, I'd like to thank everybody for joining me. Thank you, everyone, for all of your support. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. And if you're new and you're just stopping by, thanks a lot. I do Overwatch League content 2 to 3 times a week, depending on what's going on. And we talk some Overwatch, regular Overwatch, especially now with some of the drops for Overwatch 2. I give my thoughts on that a little bit. And if you could hit a like, hit a subscribe, hit that alert bell, that'd be fantastic. Greatly, greatly appreciated if you did that. All right, so let's dive into it. We got a little bit of player movement news first. We had a couple of retirements. Erster retired from the Shanghai Dragons. He didn't really play at all much this year. He was absent kind of last year. Something happened to this guy. I mean, he was one of the best players of, going before he got into the Overwatch League. And then he got into the Overwatch League in 2019, Season 2, he kind of was like an MVP candidate with Atlanta, and he looked fantastic, and I was looking forward to seeing him play on DPS heroes and all that, and he became wacky hero guy for Atlanta. It kind of filled in once in a while last year, not much. They let him go. The Dragons picked him up. Really an unexpected place for him to land with Fleta there, and, you're like, oh, maybe he's got some heroes that he's going to play. I don't know what happened with this guy, but he retired. I don't know if he lost his interest in the game or as time went on. It kind of felt that way a little bit, but I mean, I don't really know what's going on. I'm sure he did a twit longer and all that kind of stuff, but here we are. And then also we had, with Vancouver, we had Shredlock retiring. I can understand this. I mean, the guy got a shot finally, and he looked pretty good. But Vancouver, from when he got signed in, it was obviously going to be budget, and he kind of got screwed by the situation. I mean, he was one of the best parts of the team last year, and he looked decent enough this year at times. In fact, I thought he was one of their better parts that they had. But, sometimes that stuff just, it catches up with you, like mentally. You lose for 2 years and you're just getting shit pounded by everybody in the league except for maybe one team or 2 teams, and occasionally you win. But, yeah, I can understand that. And they picked up Changsik, Contenders player, to replace him, and hopefully this works out for them. I don't know too much about this guy. I watch a couple of little clips here and there they've been throwing around the internet, and I kind of looked at some of the stuff. He looks pretty decent at some of the stuff you're going to need, and maybe he helps out, and hopefully it provides them with a main tank that is at least on Shredlock's level, and maybe even a little bit better. Who knows? But yeah, that's 2 of the big moves. And then Aspire got signed to Toronto on a 30-day contract to fill in. I believe Logic's got COVID, from what I can understand, from what I've seen, and some of his tweets and stuff like that. And there are a couple other people in the organization, so they need somebody to fill in because, quarantining and all that kind of stuff. So Aspire's going to be filling in on the hit scan role for Toronto, it looks like, for the next couple of weeks, at least. So we have that going on. And that is pretty much the news. So, all right, let's talk about... I just wanted to talk about that really quick. We'll see what happens with the Shredlocked replacement with Changsik, and we'll see how Aspire looks. Aspire, from everything I've seen and heard, he kind of is an up-and-comer anyway, kind of guy that deserves a shot, at least, at minimum. So we'll see where this goes for the Defiant and for the Vancouver Titans. All right, so let's dive into this. Week 7, Week 2 of Hero Pools. Obviously, we're still Reinhardt, Tracer, Sombra, and Zenyatta out. So let's dive into it. All right, the 3 matches we are going to be talking about this week. We have a okay schedule, on the whole. Got some teams that were off last week that are getting their first shot into the Hero Pools. This week we're going to be talking about the Atlanta Reign and the Los Angeles Gladiators. the Dynasty and the Dragons, and the last match of the weekend, Dallas and San Francisco. 3, on paper, good-looking matches right now, at least in my opinion. And we'll, of course, do the rundown at the end and talk about the rest of the game. So let's dive into this first game. All right, the Reign and the Gladiators. Now, the Reign look like right now, before they play the Gladiators, who have had week 1 off, which is an advantage to see what people are playing and all that stuff and adjust to what you need to do. I mean, and the meta really quick, it's kind of monkey-based comps, and then the Pokey double shield, potentially sometimes Diva Orisa or Orisa Sigma comps are going to be the majority of what you're going to see. And you're going to occasionally see some ball comps. East teams need not apply. They will do what they want when they want, and it doesn't matter. That's why I like watching the East games sometimes. I like waking up in the morning and going, what's going on? Oh, they're running what? This is all right. Okay, we're watching this. You know, I like checking that out. But all right, Atlanta, back to them. Gator and Hawk look like in this meta in particular, the metas in the comps that we have going on, they're kind of sticking with the Orisa Poke comps because Gator and Hawk are fantastic at that. They were last year and they are this year as well. They play these comps really, really well. And the continuing thing right now is that Iris is looking really good. And if he continues to play like this is a spot of contention for them last year. The flex support position, Iris is playing really, really well right now. And they look better. At the first stage, whatever you want to call it, part of the year, they were kind of off everywhere else but him. So maybe it was getting their feet wet, but towards the end, they kind of built a little momentum. It was just a little too late. They had to beat the Shock, and they almost did. And here we are. But they have Pelican and Edison, or Pelican and Kai. However, they're mixing it up. I'm kind of liking this. It's looking a lot better than some of the stuff that they ran last year. They look a little bit, or last stage, I should say. They look a lot better with Pelican. Pelican's Echo has been fantastic. And if you put Kai in there on a long-range hit scan, he's going to mess stuff up. And his other hit scans are good, too. And Edison's been playing decently when he's in there. I'm liking where they're at. I'm liking where they're going. They are looking really good. Now, the Gladiators, let's talk about them real quick. The main thing that we want to look at with them is what they're running. They've had a week off. They've seen what works. They've seen monkey. We're going to see a lot of monkey on monkey. And are they going to do what some of the other teams did? And that is try to force monkey against the double shield or the poke comps. On occasion works, but for the majority of it, it did not. I don't know what they're going to run, but I'm banking on some of the double shield stuff. Because you have space, he can play whatever you need to play on that flex tank, off tank, whatever you want to call it, a position. He's good at Sigma. He's obviously fantastic at Diva. So you can run poke, you can run double shield, you can run whatever you want. I don't know too much about Muse's Orisa. I'm not 100% knowledgeable on that. So we're gonna see where that goes. I know his monkey's decent enough. At times he had some problems with it a little bit in the first part, stage, whatever. I'm just calling it stage, guys. I keep slipping into stage. So when I say stage, I mean the first tournament, May Melee. Stage is just what I'm used to from season 1 and 2. I'm sorry, owl boomer that I am, I guess. But now the support line that I was really, really touting and very, very excited to see has been mediocre. The Moth and Shoe, maybe it's been some dynamics with synergy language. I don't know. But it feels like that they're a little bit off, and hopefully they've had like a month off. A couple of these teams that didn't make the playoffs and got knocked out, they've been off since the first week in May, or last week in April. So they've been pretty much out of action for a while, and they could work on some of the things that were going wrong. And I think the Gladiators, player-wise, are skilled enough to work on their problems and all that. Shoe and Moth got to pick it up in this. Now, the DPS line, I think, is doing decently enough, at least last meta. And this is stuff that these guys ran some last year, and they had some success with it. And on the DPS side, I'm talking about. And that's when you have Birdring doing the hit scan stuff, and you had Mirror doing some of the other things. But now you have a situation where Tracer's out, so you're probably not going to see too much of Kevster. So I'm assuming you're going to see a lot of Mirror and Birdring doing their thing back there. Obviously, we saw the Echo comps either with in various forms with their partner. Obviously, usually some sort of mid to long range hit scan, which Birdring is fantastic at. And I'm not worried about the DPS line at all. I'm more focused on how the tank line is going to do, mostly Muse, in the battles against Hawk and Gator in comps that they're very, very comfortable on and very, very good at. So that is going to be the point that I'm going to be paying attention to. Also, the supports for the Gladiators need to step it up a little bit. I think that they still have an edge over Atlanta in that spot, but the tank edge, to me, at least main tank, is pretty great going on right now in this iteration of hero pools, with Gator and Hawk being able to play the stuff that they're comfortable on, the style that they're comfortable. They can either go slow, they can go a little bit faster if they want to. If it gets into a monkey comp battle, which I think Atlanta's going to try and force them to get out of the monkey comps, to be honest, because I don't know what, like I said, I don't know what Muse looks like on Orisa, and I'm assuming those guys, I mean, they're going to have some kind of tape and knowledge of what he does or did in Contenders and all that kind of thing. But they're going to be more comfortable playing what their style, and they're going to want to dictate into that Orisa Diva or that Orisa Sigma comp and try and force the Gladiators into it. Because if the Gladiators get into a situation where they can be playing the monkey comps, they're going to be, I like them a little bit better at that right now. And with Birdring and Mirror, I think that they could possibly win this. But overall thoughts on the big picture of this match, I am going to go with Atlanta in this. I'm gonna take them 3-2 in a close one. I'm wishing for 3-2s all across the board this week after last week, where I scratched my head and the matches seemed instantaneously over for the most part. But I'm taking, like I said, Atlanta 3-2, close one. You know, it's obviously dependent on who forces who to play what game and comp and all that stuff. And that's really what it is at this point. What can you make what team uncomfortable comp-wise? So let's move on to the next game on the slate. We are heading over to the east. We are going to go to the Dynasty and the Dragons. Now, the Dragons did not look great last week. Yes, they got a win against Chengdu, but Chengdu was kind of on the same page as them on that match. I think they were just kind of lost too. I don't understand how Shanghai can have matches like they did and get 3-0'd. It really baffles me. It's something I don't understand. Maybe they worked on some stuff over the week and got their comp straight. They have the guys and the players that can run this comp and run these things. Fate is good on the Orisa comps. He's decent enough on the monkey comps. So they shouldn't have a problem at main tank. I know a lot of people say, obviously Fearless is better, but I watched him and you guys saw him last year. He helped turn around the mayhem. So it's not like he's a bad main tank. Is he as good as Fearless? Probably not. At least, definitely not on Monkey. Other heroes, though, he could be comparable. Orisa's one of them, I think. But Dynasty, if they can run Roadhog, hear me out. You know what's coming. You got that marbled Orisa, and you have Gesture, Gucci's out, fucking rolling out in the Roadhog. They need a fucking Gesture Roadhog skin, man. They just need him just fucking pimped out with diamonds and stuff dripping off of them. Can we get that? Can we get it? I know they don't want to do the player skins, but I want a freaking Gesture Roadhog skin. Just give me that. Because he plays Roadhog, they win, man. Anyway, if it gets into that, they're really good at that Orisa stuff. I mean, we saw them last year with Roadhog, at least. If they can force in Roadhog, they're going to try it, guys. You know they are. With that rest of this team, they could be scary for Shanghai. Very scary. And overall, I think Seoul right now, I'm leaning in the Seoul direction. I just, there's something amiss with the Dragons, and it's hard to pinpoint whether it's, they went to the finals. They got things together. They went to the finals. But in this meta, it's just, they're so slow to the table. And like I said on the review from last week, they're so slow to the table, you can't do that anymore. So hopefully these guys pull it together. And I think this is going to be another close game. Key factors in here. Obviously, what Seoul does is going to make a lot of difference. Are they going to try and go what other people are doing? This is the East. They'll do what they want. They're going to try something. And they don't care if it fails, really, sometimes. They're going to try it. Something's going to happen where they do one of their weird Seoul things, and they pull out some crazy stuff and maybe do a little bit of magic in this. I just don't have confidence in Shanghai right now. Maybe Erster was causing problems. I have no idea on that. None. Zero. I'm not making rumors up here. Maybe it with him not there, they have a little bit more, something with confidence. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. But DPS-wise, they looked average to mediocre to bad at times. And then they had times like when they were playing Chengdu, Fleta and Lip and Diem, they all look good. But overall, I was not impressed with the DPS in this last week. And that's like their strong suit. And Izzyaki was kind of off, and he was getting bullied a little bit, and Li Jiegong was feeding, and all of the things that set the Dragons when they start losing, minus the DPS, were starting to happen, and it just, without their DPS functioning at a high level, where they should be, I'm a little bit afraid, especially when you have Fitz and Prophet. Fleta's miles better than Prophet, as far as we've seen on the Echo in these comps. From last year. You kind of got to run Echo right now. It's a thing. So, and I'm assuming like when we hit the next hero pool, that she'll probably be one of the first ones out. The amount she's being played in the first two stages, it seems like it's a foregone conclusion for the summer, not the summer showdown. Is it the summer showdown or countdown cup? What the last tournament has hero pools in it. So the countdown cup is going to be is going to have the hero pools in it. Summer Showdown does not. August will have hero pools. July will not. How about that? Let's do that. Okay. Great. So, Shanghai, biggest distinct advantage to me is supports. Even though they had their issues last week, Izzyaki and Li Jiegong are way better than Creative and Onimo. Onimo has not looked terrible. I call them a game manager. That's what he is. He's not an FD god or anybody on that level or even Li Jiegong, the type of guy. He's going to do what needs to be done. As long as he can play the Mercy at a decent level right now, if they run Mercy as much as was going on last week, which I'm assuming is going to happen, they'll be fine. Creative has to step the game up. He's been average at best. And this is the biggest thing for the Dragons is having the better support line. That's an advantage to them. But overall, I like what can happen even outside of the Gesture Pimp Roadhog mode. Even Gesture, you might see Marvel actually playing the Orisa. I mean, Gesture's Orisa's pretty good. But you could be seeing a 2U Marvel combination when you're doing some of the poke comps with Diva, and maybe even in some of the situations where you're seeing the double shield. If they want to run Roadhog, you know what it's going to be. It's going to be what got them to the finals last year, and they're going to just try and run over them. I mean, their best comp that they run, and it's one of Gesture's best heroes anyway. So, I mean, this is the thing. I think they might be the team that brings out the Roadhog. They're going to pay attention to what happened last week. But either way, though, I am kind of leaning towards Seoul in a 3-1, close 3-1, potentially 3-2. And it wouldn't be, like I said, I say this with a lot of these games, it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibilities for Seoul to run over them, potentially. But I do like the Dynasty in this. As much as I like the Dragons this year, seeing them last week, I had a lot of questions about what was going on. And if they don't straighten these out, they're going to be in big trouble. I mean, this is their last week for Hero Pool, or for the qualifiers for the tournament, and they have Seoul and the Valiant, I believe, and they got to get something done. For them, the best case scenario is 2-0 this week, and then they end up 3-1 for the end of the tournament. But I mean, obviously they're going to beat the Valiant. If they lose to the Valiant, that's frightening. I don't think the Valiant are coming out of nowhere and all of a sudden in Hero Pools beat everybody. And if that happens, whatever. This is a big game for the Dragons, big game for Seoul. I am leaning towards Seoul. I think it's going to be very close, but Seoul 3-1. All right, last match we're going to talk about for the week, last match of the weekend, is going to be two teams that have not played yet in this Hero Pool, the Dallas Fuel and the Shock. Dallas destroyed everybody in the tournament last we saw of them. So, I mean, we know where they're at in non-Hero Pool things. They're scary, they're frightening. They are going to be playing after them, and the Shock have had a week to analyze what's going on, what's working, what teams are running, but they haven't seen what each other are running, so it's kind of like a wash. So this could be a mixed bag. I mean, I favor San Francisco a little bit in this. This is something that these comps are stuff that got them to where they were last year. Orisa, and then, if you want to play Roadhog, you got Super. You can run the Super Roadhog. Not many people ran Roadhog that much at all last week. Maybe one or two teams tried it in NA, but you got that going, and you also, just in general, you got Choi. So if you run Smurf Choi, you're running whatever you run, your front line's good. They're going to be set. One of the best tank duos in the league are Smurf and Choi when they're running these type of things, if you're doing Orisa. And you're going to see Monkey comps too, and those two are really good at that as well. That's where I'm kind of iffy on Dallas a little bit, but this is where the level of players that they have comes in. Fearless, yeah, you're putting it in his wheelhouse. You got Monkey comps. I mean, get him going on that. They're going to want to run those. His Orisa's not bad from last year, from what I remember. I mean, it's been a long time, but he did a decent amount of work on Orisa. I think they look good enough, or he looked good enough last year. But you got Hanbin, who's fantastic. Play anything. So you can get that guy out there. You're looking good. The strange spot is for them. And you have Fielder and Jexay, who are two of the best last stage were two of the best supports in the league. I think they might have ranked as the best combo. The strange part is going to be what they run on DPS, because they don't have a hit scan specialist. You don't have Tracer. You don't have Sombra. Two things that they ran. Are they going to run Doom and Echo? Are they going to run Echo and something else? Are they going to just have somebody just come out and try and like Sparkle just run 76? We've seen him do that. There's no way that this guy has a terrible Ashe. To me, it's not out of the realm of possibility. He can run an Ashe at a decent enough level and do enough damage at the pro level to sustain comps for this team until Pine gets ready or whatever's going on with that, because he's not going to be in. So, do you run Sparkle on Doom and Doha on Echo, or some combination of something like that? Hard to say. Or do you situationalize your other DPSs? Maybe you run Junkrat once in a while. You have him run 76. You run some of the things he's comfortable on. Maybe run a little bit of Doom if you get, like, say, Li Zhang or anything like that, or some of the other places where you're going to see some Doomfist action. It's hard to say. The Shock, what the Shock are going to do. I'm going to say they're going to try and go double shield, because they know Dallas is going to want to run Monkey with Fearless. DPS-wise, Striker, you have enough guys. You have Striker, Glister, and Nero, you can do a lot of stuff with that. Your supports are fine. You got Violet and you got damn FD God. So I don't think there's a problem there. This is going to be a really tight game. This one was really hard for me to pick based on past performance of last stage. And, like I said, I'm leaning shock in this, and it's going to be a burner. I mean, this one is going to be tight. I think the one thing that is selling me on the shock right now, because I haven't seen them play at all, either of these teams, with these comps and all that stuff. This is going on what my feel is from what they've run in the past, like player-wise and stuff like that. Without the hit scan, I don't know what Dallas is going to be able to do. If they get forced into a double shield situation, or on certain maps where, you could kind of cover it up with the Sombra or Tracer, or run something like that, or run 76, or do a couple of different things, it's going to be rough for them on the DPS side. And there's only so much damage you can do with like an Orisa Sigma. Yeah, you can do a lot, but you need that damage from the hit scan. You need all of the Echo. Like, I'm not worried about them playing Echo. That's not a concern. The concern is the other side, and the concern is not with Sparkle himself. It's can he pull out a McCree or an Ashe if necessary, or a Widow to win this game? I mean, we're going to have to wait and see. I mean, we know what the Shock can do with any one of these comps. I think they need to scrap the Violet thing. I don't want to see Violet not playing Baptiste in any scenario that they have. Just put in Twilight for Ana if you want to run Ana. Yes, Violet needs to be on the field. He's great and all that. But throwing him in something that at a pro level he has played 4 maps and it's very necessary for him to do, that could be in Dallas's favor. If they start doing that bullshit, then Dallas has an opening. Because I don't think he's not bad, Violet, on McCree or potentially Ashe, but he's not at the level of some of these other guys. So I'm just going to hope that they don't run that with this pick. And I'm taking a shock in a close one. And the caveat, Dallas could win this too. I would not be surprised at all if Dallas won. But I'm leaning shock in this. All right, so those are the 3 highlighted games we got for the week, guys. You know what time it is now. It is time for the rundown, where we go down the whole schedule of matches for the week in the Overwatch League, and I do them in rapid-fire succession and give you all of my picks. So, guys, I also went back and checked my record. I am 37-19 on the season. Last week killed me. Last week absolutely destroyed me. I was looking pretty good, and then I think I won maybe 5 games total. Like the Friday games, I won 1 game from past like the first NA game on Saturday, all the way through the rest of the week. When I think I had Atlanta beating London, and I think that was it for the rest of my picks. So, all right, let's do this. Here we go. Get ready. Time for the rundown. All right. Starting off the weekend, we have the London Spitfire taking on the Dallas Fuel Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to go with the Dallas Fuel on this, 3-0. Next match, we have the Gladiators taking on the Vancouver Titans. Gladiators 3-1. Next up, we go to the APAC region. We have the Shanghai Dragons taking on the Los Angeles Valiant, Shanghai 3-0. Next match, it was one I was going to do as a feature match, but I went with the Dragons and the Dynasty. It is the New York Excelsior taking on the Seoul Dynasty. I'm looking at Seoul 3-2 in this one. Next up, we head back to North America. We are going to be looking at the Houston Outlaws taking on the London Spitfire. I am taking the Houston Outlaws 3-0 on that one. The San Francisco Shock taking on the Toronto Defiant, Shock 3-1. After that, we got the match that we spoke about earlier, the Reign taking on the Gladiators. I am taking the Reign 3-2. Next up, we head back to APAC. We have the Excelsior taking on the Valiant, Excelsior 3-0. Next up, over in the APAC region, we have the match we were talking about over there. I have Seoul 3-1 over the Dragons. Now, on to Sunday in NA, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Houston taking on Toronto. I like Houston 3-0. Next match, Atlanta Reign taking on the Vancouver Titans, Atlanta 3-0. And the final match of the weekend that we just talked about, I have the Shock in a close one taking on the Dallas Fuel. All right, guys, that is going to be the rundown for week 7. So that is also going to wrap it up for this week's episode. So we went over all the matches. You saw my record and my picks there at the end. So that is going to do it for this one, as I just said. Thanks, everybody, for joining me. Thanks for all of your support. It is greatly, greatly appreciated. Everybody that's new, thanks for sticking around. It's been great having you in, checking us out. Thanks a lot. Please hit a like, hit a subscribe, and that would be fantastic. This is Misfit. I'm out. Everybody stay safe, have a good rest of your day, and I'll talk to you on the next one.